something truly unique, and something that has this mystical aspect to it. So the incense burner is a perfect fit for all of this.
All right, awesome. How about we go and see a little bit about the map? So what's happening on the map? Where is it situated? What's the atmosphere in it? So
all right, so just to complete our story, is something that we see in...
Right, we had her at the top. How did she get here?
Yeah, exactly. So the important part of her demise, Demise of the Faithful, is that she believes so strongly in her gods that it's going to be her demise. So as anybody else, she will contract the disease, the plague, and eventually she and a following go into, well, travel to get away from the city, and they eventually all die of the plague. And her last moment is a prayer, so she asks, her gods to help her, and the entity is going to be the one that answers her. So this is how we come to the map.
Yeah.
So the map, like many other places in the game, is a reimagining of the entity of a temple in which Adiris was doing her rituals. So it is now located in Red Forest. So it's it's the two teams have been mixed together. So the entity is basically rebuilding a place of devotion where so it's taken straight out of the memories of the plague. So it's a really cool map. The main building, the temple, is gorgeous. So this is the interior, one of the level that we see right now. There's multiple level. There's a crypt underneath the temple. Of course, there's a gen there.
The lockers really fit.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the onion.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we had a teaser early on, and a lot of people made jokes about the onion. So do you want to just tell us what it is?
Yeah, the onion is an incense burner.
Okay.
So you'll see that just like the one she has as a weapon, there's an incense burner all over the map. So basically, she used incense to camouflage the pestilence that comes with the plague.
So is there anything that is special to this map? For example, in the game, when you start a generator, doors are going to open. So is there anything close to that in this map as well?
Yeah, the temple has some entryways that will basically open once the generator in the crypt is repaired, drastically changing the layout of the map and how it's played. The building itself has a very interesting layout, so this is going to be interesting to see how players strategize in it and around it.
Awesome. Are we done with the map? I just don't...
I think so. Yeah,
okay,
we're done with the story
awesome.
of the map.
Okay, so let's get into it with the killer power.
That's right.
What really everybody wants to know.
Yeah.
This other stuff is cool too, but yeah, you're right. Okay, so the killer power is called the Vile Purge. And I think we saw a quick glimpse of it earlier, but there it is. So this killer vomits.
It's killer vomit.
This is the vomit killer.
There you go.
Dwight seems to not have a good time either.
No one's having a good time about this. So this power has a few parts. There's the vomit itself, which creates sickness in the survivors. As they get vomited on, or once they become infected by the vomit, sickness grows depending on what you do. Running, exerting yourself, doing interactions will make you sicker and sicker until you become, I don't know what the current word for it is, fully sick, which really weakens the survivor. There's, as you can see, objects that get infected by the vomit, so you can actually run around and vomit on all kinds of stuff, and that will sicken survivors who interact with it. And once they're sick, survivors have only one way to cure themselves, which is by using the pool of devotion, which you can see right there.
Which we'll refer from now on as fountains.
Fountains, yeah. Don't call them magic fountains. These are the pools of devotion, or fountains. The fountains are really interesting because they also heal survivors when they use them. And so you wonder, well, that seems like it's pretty easy for survivors to deal with. You get sick, you use a fountain. But there's another aspect to the pool of devotion, which is that the killer can use a fountain that has been corrupted by survivors to gain her own power and to gain the corrupt purge. which I'm not sure if we have the footage of, but the corrupt purge damages survivors who are touched by it. So it really changes the dynamic of what you'll use the vomit power for.
It's really interesting. There's this choice as a survivor to, well, first of all, spread the sickness. So that's not really a choice. It's something that happens. So the choice of using the fountain to heal, but also being able to give that ultimate power to the killer,
Right.
or living with the sickness, which is not good at all.
Which is difficult.
Yes.
Yeah, the vomit was an interesting technical challenge. As you can see, it looks pretty awesome here, and I guess I'm just tooting my own horn because I was the one who was working on the vomit mostly. But you'll find it's actually really fun to play with and to throw these streams of vomit across the map and to infect generators and pallets and survivors and watch their hilarious reactions.
Was it very different to make than the hatchets, for example?
Well, it's built on a lot of the same technology, to be honest. And then there's lots of interesting behind-the-scenes magic that turns a projectile into a stream, which I would love to get into more at another time.
Yeah. All right. So, so with the killer and its power, there's also perks coming with it.
I'm sure people I don't even see chat,
Yeah.
but I'm sure they're all asking, does she move at regular speed?
Yes,
right?
that's probably a question that's coming.
I knew
up.
it. Don't worry, chat. She moves at regular speed.
Is she slowed down when she's charging her power?
At the moment, she slows down when she charges it, but then once she's holding it, she goes back to full speed. These are details we're actually still being fiddled with. This is a lot of the stuff that we would like to see reactions to in PTB. We'll talk about that later.
All right. So,
Perks.
Dark
perks?
Devotion.
All right. Okay, so the first perk of the plague is Dark Devotion. Do you want me to read it out, or do we have it here?
Well, we see the footage, right? You can describe it. You can read it. Go ahead.
All right, I'm just going to go ahead and read it. The display of your powers creates a whirlwind of panic that spreads throughout the land. You become obsessed with one survivor. Hitting the obsession with your basic attack causes the obsession to emit a 32-meter terror radius for a few seconds. During that time, your terror radius is reduced to 0. The effect can only be triggered with a cooldown. I'm being a little bit elusive about the exact numbers. Don't worry, guys, you're going to get them soon. And the obsession does hear the terror radius they emit during the duration of the effect. So this is actually a really cool perk. You essentially put your terror radius on the obsession for a few seconds when you hit them.
so as killer, you don't have the terror radius anymore.
That's right.
That's it.
It is transferred.
The obsession is now carrying your terror radius for a few seconds. And that does also affect all the effects that happen in the terror radius, then happen on this new terror radius that is on the obsession. The second perk is Infectious Fright. The cries of the unfaithful make your heart leap. Any survivors that are within the killer's terror radius, while another survivor is put into the dying state by basic attack, will yell and reveal their current location to the killer for a few seconds. Can we talk about what this perk was called in playtesting?
Yes, you can.
All right. This perk used to be called Shit Your Pants.
Yeah.
Because it makes people scared and they scream.
It's a great name. I just won't allow it for the plague.
No, no. But that was great. We had a lot of fun playing with Shit Your Pants, and honestly, it's become one of my favorite perks to down somebody, see everybody yell, and then go after them.
It's a great combo perk.
Absolutely.
You want to combo it, you get all the survivors to scream and chain them.
Yeah. And the final plague perk is Corrupt Intervention. The 3 generators located furthest from you are blocked by the entity for a few seconds at the start of the trial. Survivors cannot repair the generators for the duration. So essentially, this makes it so that at the beginning of the game, there are less generators to patrol to increase the chances that you're going to find somebody and initiate a chance early in the game.
Plus, either the survivor waits for the entity to come out of the generator, or has to go closer to where the killer is.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting.
So those are the killer's perks.
Awesome. Are we done with the killer?
I think we're done.
Awesome. We're gonna go to Jane Romero. I don't think anyone saw her yet.
Oh, this is the reveal.
Yes.
There
this
she is.
The reveal.
Aha.
There she is. All right. So what's Jane's story?
Okay, very quickly. So Jane is, I'm going to say it. She's her Oprah. Our Oprah character. So basically, she is a woman that fights all her life to create a TV show. You know, she's a host, and she wanted that all her life. She doesn't necessarily have the support to do it, but she fights for it, and she becomes really popular and famous doing this TV show, hosting shows for to talk about all sort of different subjects. So she's quite known in our universe as this host. She works for that really hard, and she still have a troubled story, and it's really stressful to live her life. And one night she does an interview that turns out catastrophic, and again this will be her demise. So that night she goes out of the studio, and with the tiredness that she feels, the catastrophic interviews and everything else, she will, I'm losing my words, she will fall asleep in her car and crash in the river and then disappear. So obviously it's at that point that the entity took her. And that's for Jane.
That's Jane.
Awesome. And Jane comes with 3 perks.
Of course.
Of course.
So, Louis, thank you.
There we go. All right. Jane's first perk is solidarity. Sharing painful experiences has the power to heal. While injured, healing a survivor also heals you at a certain conversion rate.
Yeah,
That
I was
means
going to scream right away.
not 100%.
What? Yeah.
Not 100%.
Okay.
Not
I'll let the cat out of the bag
100%.
here. What we have right now is 50%. So when you heal somebody, you also get 50% of that healing back on yourself, which is pretty neat. The second perk for Jane Romero is poised. Achieving goals boosts your confidence. After a generator is completed, you leave no scratch marks for 10 seconds. I guess that's good for people who like to do their gen and scoot away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last perk for Jane is
Wait for it. Oh.
head on. When your mind is set, there better be no one standing in your way. After standing in a locker for 3 seconds, the perk activates. While the perk is activated, perform a rush action to leave a locker to stun the killer for 3 seconds if they're standing within range, and that causes the exhausted status effect, and it cannot be used while exhausted. So this is it. This is the locker stun perk.
Finally.
Finally, it's finally here.
We still, there's still a lot of the requirements to get that stun down.
Right. You have to be hiding in a locker for a certain amount of time. Killer has to be within a very certain range. I don't expect that this is going to be too easy to pull off all the time.
No.
But I really am looking forward to watching people try.
The idea is to create exciting, tense moment with the lockers. You know, lockers are there and are quite interesting, and we want to see them used more in an interesting situation. So let's see what would you do with that perk.
Yeah. Apply it directly to the killer's forehead.
Thank you for that. Anyways, that's a lot of information. That's more than we ever released before a chapter.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today. Oh my God, is that all? Queen, is that all?
There's more.
PTB when?
PTB when?
That's the real question. So PTB will release sometime this week. Yay! So in the meantime, you guys are going to be able to test everything that we just showed you on the PTB, as well as the new DS changes and something about totems as well. That's included in the patch. So you guys are going to be able to test. Please give us feedback. We're going to, listen to what you guys have to say. And then we're going to leave you on the trailer again.
For those who missed it, or for those who tuned in late?
For those who missed it, or to hype you up a little bit again.
Can I say one last thing before we
Absolutely.
leave? Okay, so you see the 3 of us today talking about the chapter. Obviously, it's a big team that's behind the chapter. So I wanted to thank them all. I mean, you'll see their artwork. It's amazing. It's a great chapter. Can't wait for you guys to play with it.
Thank you so much.